There are now 107 Helene-related deaths in North Carolina, according to the Avery County Sheriff. Today, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner identified Russell Wilbur, a Tennessee man missing for more than 6 months after he and his wife's camper were swept into the Tow River.
Tonight, News 13's Justin Berger sits down with public health officials discussing storm-related fatalities and how they've been counted in the aftermath of Helene.
In the early aftermath of Helene, some counties were reporting fatalities independent of the state. The numbers didn't always add up.
We did spend a considerable amount of time working with various counties to understand why there might be discrepancies. I think early on there was difficulty in communication, just communicating back and forth what was and was not.
Ryan Jury is the Helene mass fatalities lead for the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. There's been confusion over how deaths have been tabulated. Jury explains the decision they made was to avoid confusion.
Traditionally, sometimes we have tracked decedents based on the county of residence, but early on in the disaster, because of the significance of flash flooding and the number of victims that were related to flash flooding, where we were recovering individuals wasn't necessarily where they lived, and in some instances not necessarily even close to adjacent, and we found situations where people were recovered in other states because of some of that mechanism. So to be consistent throughout the response, we chose to count decedents by county in the county in which they were recovered or passed.
During our coverage of Helene's aftermath, a county reported a different fatality count than we had received from the state.
Hindsight, you still feel like it was the right choice?
Yeah. I mean, I think in hindsight, it's a number to communicate impact. And I think that what was really important about that number is that where individuals were recovered allowed us to actually move resources throughout the area to be able to really bring search and recovery and reunification to pass.
Helene-related fatalities stand at 107, including one in Wake County, a 90-year-old Buncombe County woman who died on October 12th. She was displaced due to the storm and fell in temporary housing. Jury says DHHS is following CDC guidance for death certifications following a natural disaster, which includes language about indirectly related disaster deaths, including displacement.
There are new ways that fatalities could be tied back to the storm?
Correct.
Jury says his team spent a lot of the first week determining what was real. Conspiracy theories ran rampant.
Is it difficult at times?
I think any confusion and misinformation can be difficult for people to sort through. There's a lot of information out there, and so for people to have a trusted source to go to sort through all of that information is important.
The facts are, in North Carolina, 5 people are still missing. Kimberly Ashby in Avery County, Lenny Wadowski, Yevgeny Segin, and Tatiana Novitnia in Yancey County, and Elena Ayers in Mitchell County. On the 6-month anniversary of the storm, North Carolina Representative Dudley Green filed HB 537, Elena's Law. Green says Elena's Law would create an exemption to existing law that would allow for families to pursue a death declaration in the area of a declared disaster prior to the current 7-year requirement.
To us and our team, each one of these individuals had names. They had families, and what we wanted to do was make sure that they got back to their families as soon as possible, so that their families could have that closure.
Justin Berger, News 13.